Badmus TV. Entertainment without bound.
Here is one of the cast of the film and of course stellar actor Kule Remy. Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Right off the bat, working on this project, which is such a strong emotional film. What was it like for you in moments where the atmosphere was heavy?
Deyemi, the face say you know I'm upset today, Abi. No! Looking. Oh, I have my phone here right
What was it like? What was it like navigating the emotionally heavy moments on set?
It was a lot. I don't know how to describe that. It was a lot, but we go through it. In life, you just go through this. In life, you just go through it. You go through it. You go through it, and you come out strong. Hopefully, you go through it. I don't know how else to explain that.
Seeing stories like this that is usually politicized or sensitive stories like that is usually politicized, but seeing it come to the big what does this mean to you, Jenny?
It means a lot to me. I'm happy that we're shining light on this eventually. Somebody has the balls to shine light on this, on this kind of scale. I pray and I hope that it affects the change.
Thank you so much and have a great night.
I'm good, thank you. And you?
I'm doing very great. It's interesting to see a story like this being told, a story that is often politicized and now being brought as a storytelling, which is interesting. What caught your interest when it comes to this story?
Obviously, something that we read about. Some people have experienced it, primary, secondary level. But either way, it's something that we read about, and some people have gotten desensitized about. But the key thing that drove it home for me was I was in church at a crossover service, and someone who had been kidnapped and escaped was giving a testimony. But in my opinion, there was a level of fear as he was giving the testimony. So he didn't say much. It felt to me, the story I wrote for the guy was that he had told God that if I escape, I would testify. But even in that moment, he wasn't saying much. So I felt like this is something that we don't say much as a society. So if we're unable to have these conversations in person, maybe it will be easier to have these conversations through film, through fictional characters, because it's a fictional story. So yes, that's what inspired me.
When it comes to writing this story, how was it like for you balancing the entertainment part of it? Because when it comes to film, it's still entertainment. How was it like balancing the entertainment part and also like addressing a pressing issue like this?
Right, so I feel like because of the subject matter, it was hard to escape the issue. The duty I had was to ensure that I treated it sensitively, but it was paramount for me that, Lani, this is a feature film. This is not a documentary. So basically, we're creating a fictional world, right? But because of how related it is to the real world, I had to treat it sensitively. But for me, it was always a thing of how can I drive up the entertainment value of the film. So entertainment was at the top of mind for me, without diluting the truth. Yes.
Before I let you go, something that is usually known as a wedding day, that is usually known as a day of joy, and becoming a day of chaos, or being like the center of the film that became the chaos. What was that? Why was that contrast important for you to make that day that is obviously kind of like usually known as a day of joy into that?
So it goes back to the what we talked about now, entertainment. So I believe that in telling entertaining stories, we look for contrasts. Like you said, a day of joy, how can we take them to the end of the scale? Or people are having like a dialogue of love, but what's the backdrop that they're having it against? So for me, those were the elements that I said, okay, those were the elements I used to, or the vehicle I used to tell the entertainment. It's an entertaining story, and to keep it entertaining and keep the entertainment quality as high as it could.
Thank you so much for championing such an important story in Nigeria, and thank you for sharing your creativity with the world. Hope you have a fantastic night.
You too, and thank you for your questions. Good
Thank you
questions.
so much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with me here is one of the cast of the movie, an amazing actor, M. Flanis. Good evening, how are you?
Very fine.
my people.
How do you feel to be on this project, The Herd?
My people, I need to tell you something about this. This is a very big project, but the Heart is a very standard project. It's a film for the showing the people what happened about a society. After that, I know any one person here is a good man, but on your own, then you are combating to a good man, you are a bad man. But I will play role character Anas. Anas is a very bad man. He's a very bad guy. He's a kidnapper. After that, Anas, he needs to kill any one person. Ransom and something, but if you are not paying the ransom, I will kill you. But I have some people, they no understand what happened to your life to people. So the film is very nice to, if you are watching this film, The Hurt, then you understand what happened to the people to from.
Kidnapping or herdsmen is usually attributed with the North, right?
Yeah.
Do you think this story or this film, do you think is kind of like vindicative or something that would clear the doubt of, is it truly a thing where the herdsmen, or when it comes to like the topic of herdsmen, is it truly like almost always associated with the Northerners, or it's just something that some people do, but obviously try to like paint the Northerns as.
So actually, this film, he's like a life.
Eniola Badmus TV. Entertainment without bound.
Ladies and gentlemen, with me here is one of the women of the moment. I'm talking of none other than Faithfulme, the producer of The Herd. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening, I'm very well, thank you.
You know, it's interesting seeing a film like this that is often politicized, being brought to the big screen, and of course, being using storytelling to bring these issues to life. What was that like for you? What really intrigues you or interests you when it comes to this story and using art to tell it?
So one of the major things that I wanted to achieve, or I want to achieve as a filmmaker, is talk about Nigeria as a society, talk about the things that are going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly, honestly. And so when I read the script, I'm like, yes, let's talk about it. Let's bring this story to life. And yes, that's it's important for people to know what is going on, and for us to, as filmmakers, as artists generally, social commentary is one of the biggest forces of, society as a whole, yeah.
While filming on set, let me ask you, how was it like? What was the atmosphere like, especially when shooting those emotionally heavy scenes?
Well, it was already a tough set because of the situations we needed to shoot in. But when you realize, I know a lot of the actors came back to me saying, when they finished that scene, they cried because this is actually the reality of so many people. We just hear, we don't really experience, not many of us. In fact, one of the actors, his cousin had just been kidnapped before we started filming. So he was living that reality. And yeah, it was sometimes solemn, sometimes emotional, but always joyful because we knew we were doing something that would impact generations. Yes.
Thank you so much for championing such important stories, and congratulations on The Herd. Wishing you all the very best at the cinema.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, with me here is one of the most amazing men when it comes to Nigerian entertainment. I'm talking of none other than Mr. Adebola Williams. Good evening, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very great. Good to see you here tonight. It's interesting seeing films like this coming to the big screen, something that has just remained at the headlines before, but now coming to the big screen, talking about the real Nigerian struggles. How do you feel seeing stories like this, like The Herd, coming to the cinemas?
First of all, I'm not sure if it's a real Nigerian struggle. We're a multifaceted country. We have different stories, and this is just one of our stories. It's not the real story. It's just one of our stories. Nigeria, Africa is a mix of, the struggle, the success, the tenacity, the resilience, creation, success. It's a mix. Let's get that right. Secondly, I think this is an important piece of storytelling, and what I'm impressed by is the fact that I'm always a big believer in using pop culture to tell hard-hitting issues, and so Daniel takes the courage and makes bold to tell a hard-hitting story, taking it from headlines to actually full-on feature film. I'm hoping to break stereotypes, to change perception, and ultimately to change behavior. Exciting.
So speaking about Daniel taking such a bold step to telling this important story, what do you think, or what conversation do you think this story would open up when it comes to the film industry in Nigeria and also globally?
So Nigeria has always told hard-hitting stories. People have always been bold. What is good to see is that there seems to have been a bit of a death, in the last maybe 1 to 2 years. So being bold to bring it back would then encourage other people to also tell more diverse stories, more biopics that actually tell history, more issues that people need to change behavior and perception. Ultimately, pop culture is one of the strongest tools to change behavior and have a better society. So it's not just for human entertainment, it's actually to guide us on the principles of living in a world that is fair, just, and true. And I hope that this, reignites that conversation and inspires a path.
Absolutely love to hear that. I actually want to ask you a last question before letting you go. As someone who supports Nigeria and Nollywood industry in general, and when people say that Nollywood is trying to...
Give me your fan. Thank you. Don't kill me.
And when,
Good to see you.
You look so good.
Same uniform all the time.
and when people say that Nollywood is trying to be the international, and I think that we are creating a niche for ourselves. What do you think about the trajectory of Nollywood so far?
Nollywood is the second largest film industry in the world. We've built an industry that is formidable, and getting global attention. We've changed the perception for Africa. We've made Africa cool via Nollywood, via Afrobeats, and so do not joke with Nollywood. Right. It's not an upcomer. It's not an upstart. Right. And interestingly, we're also in a season where the Ministry of the Creative Sector is doing a lot of work in building infrastructure and systems. Because oftentimes, when it comes to large, infrastructure and systems, you also need a level of government or big investors. We're also getting into a time where big corporations are now putting money into, the creative sector infrastructure. So with better infrastructure, systems, IP protection, and a few other things, we could get it right. And I think that the dawn of that is here. Talent is the currency of this generation.
Eniola Badmus TV. Entertainment without bound.